We start right now.
Fantastic. Awesome.
Alrighty. So your character's name once again is Garrick,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
Garrick Wolfrang?
Wolfbane.
Wolfbane. Okay, Wolfbane.
Should I kick it off?
Yeah,
Where I
go
am?
ahead.
Perfect. Okay. So, just finishing from a long day on patrol, I make my way to my cabin on the edge of town, open the door and walk in, and buckle my belt holding my scabbard, place it at the side of the door, and I stretch. That was a long day. As I walk over and begin loading firewood into the fire, prepare for dinner.
A knock occurs on your door outside.
Who's that? Just a minute. I walk over to the door. I peer over through the window to see if I could see who it is on the side of the window on the side of the door.
You see a hooded figure kind of situated close to the door, holding his head underneath the eave as rain starts dropping upon the top of your abode.
I creep over to the side of the door. I grab my blade. I slowly unsheath it. I grab the handle. And I open the door. Who goes there? With my sword in front of me.
The hooded figure in front of you startles. The hood backs off. You see your friend Willem, the guard. Oh.
Willem!
Garrick,
what is it?
You're scaring the crap out of me this day of night. Did you? I guess you finished your patrol then.
I did. You nearly scared the life out of me as well. I sheath my sword. Come in, get out of the rain.
He walks in, goes ahead and takes his cloak off, unbuckling it, and puts it onto the knob, onto the side of the wall. The hook precariously hammered into the log walls of your home. Now you have log walls.
So, how was your patrol today? Can I get you a drink?
Yeah. Certainly, definitely. I definitely need one. He rubs his beard and says, "Look, Garrick, I don't want to impede on your night, but I did see some strange things last night. This night."
Strange. Here,
Yes.
have a seat by the fire. I was just about to get it started.
Thanks. He heads over towards the fire and starts poking around at your fire, getting it started a little better.
I turn and I walk over to my kitchen and begin pouring a glass of ale for him. Actually, is ale okay, or would you like some whiskey?
Yeah. Either or. That's fine.
Ale. I'll have an ale as well then. So I pour 2 ales as I'm getting them together for him. So, what did you think you saw? As I yell from the kitchen over towards the fireplace.
He says, well, upon the march of the northern end of the forest, towards the forest, northern end of town, we smelt a lingering smoke just recently, somewhat reminiscent of, I don't know, smell of burnt hair in the air as well, and that sort of thing. Kind of gave me a little bit of a shiver. I didn't know whether or not I should go to our Lord himself, Colm, and ask him about it. I figure I could talk to you first about anything that perhaps you may have seen out there on your patrol.
As I wrap up the drinks and turn around and uh, walk towards him by the fire. Yes, well, I think you did good by not letting Colm know. Let us look into the matters first. Maybe it's something we won't have to worry him about.
Well,
But
I figured I could use your keen eye and such out there. If all else fails, if it was me by myself, I may come upon something that I could not handle. I figure two of us there might be a better
yes,
situation.
yes, I agree. I'm glad you did come to me, and I hand him his drink. Here you are.
Ah, wonderful. He sips back at the ale. That's so good. I feel like going right to my bones.
Yes, yes. After a long night, after a long day, it's good. I sit down across from him on the couch. So, you think tonight we should scout out the area? I know it's raining out.
Yeah, how tired are you? I know I've been pretty beat today, but I could probably go for another couple hours, but
Well, the safety of the village is our duty. We'll have this break here now, and we'll stake out the night in the forest. See what's out there.
He pulls out off his left boot and starts rubbing his feet, trying to get the circulation back into him.
A lot of walking today, I see. Same here.
Oh.
I pull my boots off as well. It is nice. Be out of the rain and here in the warmth.
Yeah, it just started over here on the north end. I don't know where you have been all day, but yeah, north end, caves of Lolik, that sort of thing. I hadn't scoured around, seen what I could find if there was any. There's been heard tell of goblins out there and some orcs, but nothing worrisome. But that smell of burnt lingering in the air, it's worrisome.
Smell of burnt. I wonder what it could be. I didn't smell anything today, though. My day was rather uneventful. I did my rounds. The old farmer down the road. His sheep got out again. I had to help him wrangle them back in, but that was about it. A quiet day. Quiet day.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yes, yes. But, I think, hopefully tonight, but given the rain, I wonder if there will be any fire anyway, but we should still check it out.
It's fairly light out there still, so you never know.
Yes, yes. But
he moves over towards the cloak back on the wall there, grabs it, gives it a shake. A little bit of moisture rains onto the floor, and pulls his cloak around him, grabs his mug once again, and heaves another chug down his gullet, emptying it.
I grab my mug, and I down my mug as well, and I slam it down on the counter on the table in front of me. All right, now's a better time than any, I suppose. I start putting my boots on as well.
You hear a hearty burp.
Well, depending on what we deal with tonight, maybe we'll have to head to the old tavern afterwards.
We'll see.
I stand up, and let me get my cloak as well, given the rain. I go to the back side of the cabin where I have my where my bedroom is, and I go into my wardrobe and grab my cloak and pull it out, wrapping it around me.
We'll make sure his sword is all set in his scabbard, checking the consistency of oil on the blade. It's gonna be wet out there. Slams his sword back into his sheath, Holds it over the baldric over his shoulder.
I yell from my room. Yes, it will be. But we'll stay as dry as we can with our cloaks and keep our blades under cloak as I walk back out towards the door, grabbing my sword and scabbard to begin fastening around my waist.
You ready?
I'm ready. Let me actually put this fire out. I don't want to leave it on while we're gone. I walk over to grab water from the kitchen, from the bucket, and I bring it back over and put out the fire. Don't need a fire on our hands.
Nods. Kicks aside the door, the latch, and heads out.
I come back. I turn around from the fireplace and follow Willem out the door and close the door behind me.
Willem stands forth, looking out from the balcony of your rancher-style home, looking out towards the woods, checking the vicinity, sniffing the air. Don't smell it quite now, but it is still lingering there.
I lift my nose, standing on my porch. I do
Slight hue of burnt embers, pine, slight smell of burnt flesh.
That's an unnatural smell on the air. You smell it, Willem.
I smell what I do, but heck, I could imagine your senses are much more keener than mine.
It smells of flesh coming from the wood line. Sounds like what you witnessed the other night. Maybe going on tonight as well. We must proceed with caution and carefully. Let us make way.
He lets you proceed forwards.
Yes. I put my hood up. Wrap it around. Let's go this way. Making my way down the stairs and towards the path.
He follows behind. Ahead, the forest looms.
As we get close, Willem, things go awry. Make sure you make your way back to town. Just in
I
case.
will do so, but I expect we both should make it back.
Sure. But if we both go missing, no one will ever know where we were.
Undoubtedly.
I proceed forward towards the forest.
Willem follows, trudging through the ground, hearing the footfalls behind you. The rain starts coming down a little more harder, but the overcast in the sky doesn't give heed to any cause of some massive rainstorm. Little drizzles.
Should pass soon, hopefully. Let us scan the forests, see what we can find. As I peer, as I crouch down, I put my hand up for Willem to halt, and peer into the bottoms of the trees, woodline.
The occasional fauna, deer in the underbrush, couple of rabbits, nothing drastic in the vicinity.
Some wildlife, Willem. Let's proceed. But let's not spook those deers. They might tell whatever's in there of our coming. Let's proceed around to the left, so we could wrap around and not spook them.
Willem tries very hard to be quiet. And actually, surprising you,
Success.
the smell starts lingering more present in the air the more northern you proceed.
And we're getting closer, I fear. The smell is getting more and more pungent.
The clouds of wisps of smoke start lingering through, smelling more present.
I think we're closer now, Willem.
This is getting close to the town of Windfall. Well, the village of Windfall.
That's right, it is. It is. I wonder if it has to do with anything there. I draw up my blade. Let us proceed now with caution.
Willem stays still in a neutral stance, yet follows quietly behind you.
Proceed further and further. North on the path. Blade drawn. Crouching kind of low and peering around as I...
The path ahead, you see a shadowy blockage in front of you. Squarish, round wheels on the ground as a slight flash of lightning in the distance reveals a coach that has been marred with several crude-looking arrows splintering off of it. Definitely goblin-made.
I crouch down quickly, and I motion for Willem to crouch as well.
Smell in front of it, 2 lumps, horses dead, lying on their sides in the mud.
I whisper to Willem, Willem, you see this ahead? Looks like goblins.
He shakes his head. He gets his sword ready, pulling it forth. Shh.
The smell of flesh must have been them horses right there.
No, those don't look too burnt. The flesh on them horses is still good. He's must have been killed maybe hours ago.
Well,
no sign of the driver or anything. He looks around. Should we call out for anyone? I don't hear anything.
I'll go forth. You wait here.
He nods.
And
he huddles closer to a tree, remaining hidden.
I have my blade drawn. I creep forward through the grass, slowly towards the carriage.
You hear the carriage door slightly creak.
I stop. Who goes there? Make yourself known.
You hear a loud hiss come from the carriage door. The door bursts open and 2 goblinoids jump out, looking around precariously.
I charge forward with my blade in hand, ready to strike at the goblin. 9.
The goblin puts his hand up and deflects your strike with its sword, matching you. It hisses. The other one grabs its spear and throws it, whizzing past you, goes over to, heads into the bushes towards where Willem is.
Willem, now! I call. As I strike, I go to swing down again at the goblin in front of me.
Goblin locks into battle with you.
11.
Go for it.
Oh,
You-
I cleave down hewing towards the neck of the goblin.
The goblin screams as its head lobs off from your strike, easily separating from its body. The other goblin reaches into its pouch, grabbing some stones, and wings them at you, missing precariously. Stones go delving elsewhere. Willem makes his way out through the bush, calling out in a loud battle cry, "Ah!" with sword overhead of his sword overhead of his head. That's kind of a weird way to say it. And with his skill of military might, cleaves the second goblin in half. One stroke.
Ugh.
Goblin gurgles to its death. Willem looks wide-eyed and startled. Well, at least there's only two of them, right? As he's looking around to see if there's any more.
I'm looking around as well with my blade drawn high.
The smell of, once again, burning trees, wood, flesh coming through the air.
There may be more. I wonder what this carriage is, though. I take my blade. I kneel down, and I rip off a piece of cloth from the goblin, and I wipe the blood off my blade. Filthy beasts. Stand up and let's check that carriage out and see what's going on inside.
Noble carriage.
I walk forward to the cabin door. Carriage door.
There is a markings on the door showing a heraldry. Obviously a noble.
Where the noble is. This appears to be a noble carriage. I go and I reach forward and grab the handle and open the door all the way. Looking inside.
Very rich designs inside, padded seats, lots of embroidery, although somewhat ripped apart. A couple of gouges in the upholstery from obviously a goblin blade. No signs of any other people inside, but there is blood. Human blood.
Take my hand and I put my hand into the blood and I right in my fingers. It's fresh.
Not goblin, obviously. Not the blackish blood of goblins.
I wipe the blood off on a rag, throw it to the ground, come out of the carriage. Well, whatever was in there, whomever was in there was slayed. At least they've bled quite a bit. I fear the worst for them. I sniff up into the sky to try and track the smell of the burning coming in the forest.
Towards the north.
Well, we should proceed north. Be ready for more of these foul creatures. With my blade on
just looking around. Well, where is the this has definitely carried a noble. Where's the noble?
Well, wherever this thing came from, I imagine.
It must have had a driver at least, and maybe a guard, I would at least hoped.
That's a good point.
Maybe they were making a break from the village. Looks like it was on its way towards Oakfield.
True. Let us search the surrounding area, maybe, before we proceed towards the smell. I kneel down and begin searching the area with my skill, my skill of tracking to see what I could find. 11. Sifting through the grass.
Trail leads off towards the east, off the road. Drag marks.
Something's been pulled here, Will. This way. As I get down, lower to the ground and crouching slowly, following the drag marks. Looking for blood as well.
Definitely signs of drips of blood. Some blackish blood as well, a little bit further on.
Goblin blood as well. As I carefully proceed forward.
Signs of a struggle in this area. Willem comes up behind as well, giving you a large berth before intruding onto your area of search. Slight scream in the distance.
My ears perk up. Quickly, towards the scream, let's go. And I get up and I quickly run and start running in that direction. Follow me, Willem.
Willem gets up and heads off into your direction.
We're not running without care.
Ahead, you hear a couple more screams become louder, and you hear the giggling, cackling of several goblins, and a more heavy-set voice. Ooh, and more, goblin-y kind of sounds. You hear the scream happen again.
I continue running, now at full sprint.
Breaks into an area that opens up, and you see 3 goblins, an orc, and someone on the ground.
Without a care in the world, jumping out of the tree line into this clearing, running with my hands, arms held high with blade at the orc.
Strike.
Seven as I cut towards his skull.
You slice towards him as he turns suddenly as you approach. He puts his arm up, blocking some of the damage. However, your surprise does topple him over slightly. The other goblins start to move in a surprise direction in everywhere. 3 of them start moving precariously. The Willem moves in as well, running as fast as you are, slicing towards one of the goblins, striking it, cleaving it in half. The goblin just folds. Your turn.
I take my blade up over my head again and cleave down at the chest of the orc who's been knocked back.
The orc tries once again to stop, goes right through his arm and into his head. The other goblin with a little sticky little blade tries to stab at you, and it injects with a 11 natural into your side with his little pointy blade. You get 3 points of damage and a wound.
I grab my side, but with my right hand, turn to back swing my blade, heaving at the goblin.
Roll.
7.
It dodges out of the way. Willem whirls around with his sword up high, swings down towards the goblin beside you. Little shifty bastard leaps out of the way as he comes down into the muck. Whack! You hear a squeal beside you as well from the ground as the victim of what was happening is moving around in the darkness below you. The goblin takes heed and runs, starts heading into the dark forest as quickly as it can.
I pull my arm back and I heave my blade at the goblin's back as he's running. 11.
Oh! Into the back of the skull of the goblin as it's fleeing. Falls to the ground.
And my side stung from that heave. I call out.
Ooh,
and I drop down to one knee and looking around.
Are you okay? Are you okay? Willem comes to your side, checking you out. Oh, a deep wound. This is nasty.
That bastard got me.
Here. Let me help you. He goes ahead and pulls out his satchel and starts pulling out some padding, packing it into your wound, trying to clean out as much as he can. So much blood. I think we can get it to stop though. Here.
You're fine. Here, grab the belt off of one of these, off the orc. Tie it around my waist.
There we go. He goes ahead and tightens it up for you, creating a good pack in front of it. Yet, a bit of blood coming through. Willem not quite graceful at this.
Thank you, Willem. I'll get it checked out better.
Sorry,
with the doctor in town.
It's the best I can do. But it looks like you'll have to hold for now.
Yes. If we make it back to town, we'll see the doctor. But I turn to look for the person who was screaming. Where's the victim?
Yeah.
Where are they?
The person, you see a lump moving along on the ground on all fours, crawling, trying to make its way inconspicuously away on the ground towards some more underbrush.
I stand up. Stop. You're safe now.
The blob on the ground stops and pulls its cowl back. A young lad, definitely a noble son of some form. Never recognized him, but definitely the son of some nobleman.
Boy.
Please don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. I thought those goblins and that monster was going to kill me.
You're safe, boy. We've slayed at least what's here now. I'm sure there's more out there, though.
They're all over the place. All over in Windfall. They're burning it to the ground. My mom, she was screaming in our house. It was horrible. He starts crying.
There. I walk over and I kneel down. My side stings as I do. I get down on my knees. Tell us, what is in Windfall? How many?
I don't know. There were lots. There are so many goblins. There's some of those things. He points over there at he points at the orc. There are some of those, and then there was one really large one. Huge.
Large. I look back at Willem.
As big as a house.
Giants.
Giant?
Sounds like a giant, Willem. Well, you make way You make way back. Oh, how are we going to get him back? How will we get you back to town safely? I don't want to bring you back with me to Windfall. We're heading to Windfall now. We'll take it. We'll slay those beasts and save your village.
Well, Willem looks at you and says, do you want me to take the boy back into town and we'll try to rustle up some extra men and head them into Windfall? I'll muster up the guard.
That's a great idea, Willem. Take the boy and head back to town and do that. Boy, what is your name, boy?
Johann.
Johann. Well, Johann, when I find your family, I'll let them know you're safe.
Thank you, sir. But I only think my father is left.
I'll search for your father when there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Please save everyone.
I will.
It's horrible. You'll be okay. You'll be okay, son. Says Willem. Let's head off quickly.
Go now. Make haste.
Garrick, take care of yourself.
You too, Willem.
We'll be here. We'll be here soon enough. He heads off into the bush, taking the child with him.
I stand back up. I stretch my back. Well, time to make way forth to see what's really going on in Winhell. I proceed forward with my blade drawn.
The woods are pretty thick and dense in this part.
Stepping through the brush.
The light of flames flickers between trees up ahead.
Hearing
the essence of the town lingers between the branches.
I step forward to the edge of the wood line and peer just enough to where I'm still behind the brush, and I peer through to try and see if I could see anything. Anyone.
Two goblins make their way through the streets, looking around from house to house that's flaming up in blaze as they go.
I put my blade into its sheath. I take the bow from my back.
One has a blade, the other one has a crossbow over its back. They both push and budge at each other like pestering siblings.
I kneel down. Pull an arrow from my quiver. I knock it. I raise and draw back through the brush, aiming at the goblin with the crossbow, aiming for the head. And I release. 11.
Silently it goes down. His brother looks at him curiously and realizes that there's an arrow in his head.
I swiftly reach for the other arrow. I knock it, draw back.
You hear the creature scream out.
Okay. Release as he's screaming. 15?
It silences the goblin quickly. It goes down.
I pause and I... 2 down.
No other lingering people. There are a couple of bodies lying on the street over by one of the houses near one of the barrels. Commoners lying astray.
I
cleaved open.
Put the bow back, fasten it to my back, stand up and draw my sword, and make my way out of the brush towards the 2 bodies that I just goblins that I just shot down.
You approach them. You notice these ones on the back of the goblin, on its shoulder, where it is exposed. You see a glyph on its skin.
I kneel down and I yank my arrow out of its head, and then I kick the body over with my blade. The tip of my blade, looking at the glyph, prodding at it. What could this be? A sign of sorts of some clan?
It is very similar to the glyph that you have been imbued with from the sorcerer from long ago. Dun dun dun.
My eyes go wide, and I begin to sweat my brow. I feel I've seen this before. It hits me. Magic. The sorcerer. I kneel down, I grab the other arrow, I yank it out, and I run back to the tree line to try and circle the town.
Little bit more loudness and action occurring towards the northern end of the town as you are on the southern part. It's more like chanting going on in the northern area. Several voices, definitely goblinoid, mixed with some other creatures in the air.
What is this? I continue towards the tree line to walk into the brush and try and...
Large bonfire exposed in a area just as it reaches into the northern end of the town. Many bodies piled on top of it, being burnt like tinder, wet tinder, leading to the smell of burning flesh in the air. There does not seem to be any humans alive. Just a pack of about a dozen goblins, several orcs, and pushing aside one of the barns, which is on fire, cracking and making the barn collapse over to the one side as this ogre pushes the timbers to one side to make sure the fire burns brightly.
I look around me for a high vantage point that I might be able to get a view on the creatures, to rain arrows down at them.
Rather flat terrain, a little bit more advantageous to a slope fairly close to you.
I make my way to the slope and at the slope, crouch down beside some brush and cover to conceal myself and draw my bow again.
The creatures laugh as they grab the last few bodies from the barn and throw it onto the bonfire. Some of them are grabbing some of the body parts, smoldering, and start chewing on them, having a snack.
Draw an arrow from my quiver, knocking it. I draw back and aim straight at the goblin's gnawing on the flesh, and I release the arrow, aiming for his head. 14.
Strikes. Whoop. The goblin goes down easily. The rest of the goblins are surprised and start looking around, frightening.
Draw another arrow. Pull back. Release at another goblin. The goblin that was nearest to the goblin I struck. 8.
Strikes, and that one goes down as well. The rest of them are poking into your direction with their fingers, screaming and screeching. The orcs look at each other and go, ooh, 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 start moving on towards your direction.
I quickly grab another arrow out of my quiver. I draw back, and I release towards an orc's skull. 11.
Strikes. That orc goes down. The other two see where you're at, start heading towards you. Will reach you within 2 bounds.
One more arrow I pull from my quiver. I knock it and draw back and release at the next orc. 8.
Shunk into its chest, but it's still coming towards you. They're screaming at you.
I drop my bow and draw my blade. Come at me, beast! As I charge forward.
And they clash upon you in the forest, on the slope. Go for your roll.
8.
You cleave into one. The creature irks, but is still slightly wounded, but still up and going. The other two swing wildly. One attacks at you, but doesn't seem to get through as well.
I come back for another swing, at lunging forward to stab it at the chest. 13.
Strikes.
Lunging at the other orc's chest.
Chest. Okay. The orc goes down as you pierce into its chest, making a nasty wound. It screams as it gurgles. The other two are still clamoring on you, but missing as they're barreling towards you. You're very agile compared to these creatures. They strike again towards you. Your turn.
I pull the blade out of the orc's chest. Blood flies behind me. I then lash at the goblins beside me, aiming at their necks. 6.
Misses. The other one slashes at your leg, whoosh, giving you 1 point of damage.
Ah! Bastard.
The 2 remaining orcs jeer at you and poke at you, trying to give you as much inflicting damage from impaling as possible. One stabs at you, missing. The other one totally flubbing it. Gets himself tangled in some brambles from its leg, distracting it slightly.
I come in from with an overhand swipe at its skull, coming down. 10.
Nice. It dies, being cleaved from your blade. Gurgles as it falls to the ground. The other one makes his way scrambling up from the ground, heading off back towards the rest of the creatures. They're all the goblins are looking, trying to see what's going on, peering through all the light and the darkness. And they seem to be kind of looking in your area, but seemingly confused, as if they can't locate what's going on. However, they do see the one orc coming towards them.
I quickly draw my knife from my waist belt. And I fling it towards the orc fleeing. 15.
The orc goes down and calls out and starts dying. The goblins start screaming to each other. The large ogre himself is now looking in the area, suddenly aware that something is amiss with his cohort of monsters, and he starts yelling. Grabs part of the barn that's not on fire yet, grabs a piece of it, starts lurching it out of the ground. The rest of the goblins stay close to the fire and a couple of them have crossbows, and they start firing indiscriminately into the darkness, sort of in your area, but obviously can't see where you're at.
I retreat back quickly and swiftly towards where I drop my bow, grabbing the two arrows out of the orcs that I slayed, running to pick up my bow where I left it.
Okay. The large ogre screams something at one of the goblins. The goblin perks up and yells at two other goblins, and they start marching into the forest towards you. Although in kind of a skewed area.
Kneel down. I kneel
down. The three goblins start making their way off into the distance, close, however, about 20 yards away from your location.
With bow in hand, I kneel down, I grab my bow. These arrows serve me well. Take one of the arrows, I just slayed the orc, knock it. Trailing the orcs, the goblins as they path 20 yards away, draw back.
They're searching through the brush and the trees, looking through. Now that they're in the darkness, their eyes start glowing back a little, and you can see the shine back from their eyes.
I release through the brush at the neck of one of them, the one in the front. 9.
Strikes. It screams, and it starts churning out blood as it's going down. The other two spot where you're at. And one of them has a crossbow. Fires. Goes overhead. Into the tree behind you.
I look back quickly at the bolt in the tree, picking up the other arrow that I slay the orc with, and knock it, draw back, aiming for the crossbowed goblin. 14.
Nice. It goes down. All over. The other one throws its blade down and starts making its way back into the burning town, screaming back to its comrades.
I reach back, I pull another arrow out, leading the goblin as he's running through the brush. Release, aiming for its head. 5.
It skitters past him, and as he's making his way, running as quickly and precariously as he can, dodging whatever bolts he can from you. And the ogre himself is like, ooh, starts rallying the troops around him. The rest of the goblins, kind of form around him with spears and everything, kind of pointed outwards from this large ogre, and the ogre starts moving his way down as a group kind of turtles around him and follows along in a formation.
I swiftly make my way to the two fallen goblins I just slayed, retrieving my arrows, pulling them out of their bodies. I place them into my quiver.
The group makes its way into the town and starts moving along and heading towards the western side of the town, in amongst the burning buildings, making their way. The goblins below still have their spears and such pointed outwards, looking around for the assailant that's taken out their friends as they make the retreat.
I leave the tree line, making my way to the nearest house I could find for cover ahead of me, trailing the group.
The group heads on into where the guild building is, moving along past it in the center of the town, and heading towards the outskirts, going towards the western part of the area. More fields, light brush in that area.
Bow in hand, I draw another arrow and knock it into the back of the group. I draw back, and I fire towards the ogre, try to hit him aiming for the back of his skull. 7.
The arrow falls short from its target, but the ogre takes heed as the arrow whizzes by, and he commands, points to the direction inside the forest, and they all start retreating into the darkness in there.
They must have an encampment back there. I look around the ruin around me.
Blazing,
signs of life.
Death everywhere. People cleaved in the streets.
This is horrible.
Others hung.
They'll pay for what they did to these people.
You hear a horn in the distance, that of the town guard, as you hear the footfalls of many horses start making their way.
The god is here.
And let's leave it right here for right now. So, as a